Let's start with something simple. Have you ever felt like you were falling apart, but had to keep going anyway? You smile, you respond, you show up, but inside, something's slipping, quietly. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's a 2 a.m. spiral. Sometimes it's a moment, standing in front of the mirror, and not recognizing the person staring back. That's where Stoicism found me, not as a fix, but as a guide. Not to make me perfect, but to help me stay grounded. Let me show you the habits that helped. Quiet, powerful, practical. Maybe they'll help you too. So stay with me. We're not here to pretend we're strong. We're here to grow into it together. Let's begin. Moment 1. When you feel worthless. Some days, it's not just exhaustion. It's the weight of feeling unseen. Like your actions don't matter. Like you're floating in your own story. Outwardly, everything seems fine. You're doing the tasks, responding, smiling. But inside, a quiet voice says, "You don't matter." Habit 1. Write down what you can control every morning. When self-doubt clouds your mind, you need something solid. The Stoics found it in control. Each morning, take a moment. Write down 3 things you can control. Not someday. Not when you're stronger. Now, you control your tone when you speak. You control whether you move your body. You control the choice to pause and breathe, or scroll past life. These may seem small, but they're acts of reclaiming power. They tell your mind, "I'm not powerless." Marcus Aurelius didn't write to impress. He wrote to remember. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your power isn't in changing the storm. It's in how you steer your ship through it. Habit 2. Treat your life like a temporary role you've been asked to play. We suffer most when we mistake our role for our identity. You are not just a job title, not a failure, not a number. You are playing a role, for now. Epictetus said, "Remember, you are an actor in a drama, of the sort the playwright chooses. When life casts you in hardship, don't collapse. Play the role with dignity. Be the patient one, the kind one, the one who rises even when tired." This mindset creates distance between your worth and your outcome. It lets you fall without shattering. To be overlooked, yet still unshaken. Your value isn't in applause. It's in the quiet integrity with which you keep showing up, even when no one sees. So when worthlessness whispers, ask, "What role am I playing? And how can I live it well? Not for them, but for the soul I'm shaping." These 2 habits won't silence that voice completely, but they offer something louder: truth and choice. And from there, strength begins. Moment 2. When you feel offended, rejected, or let down. Some wounds don't bleed, they echo. Not from sudden harm, but from quiet erosion. A message never sent. A meeting canceled without care. A shift in someone's tone. Small drops, but enough of them. And you feel submerged. The Stoics taught, what wounds us most is not what happens, but the meaning we attach to it. When you feel dismissed or forgotten, it's not just the action. It's the story that begins to form inside. This is where your power lies, in reclaiming that story. Habit 3. Pause before you respond. Create space before reaction. Pain seeks release. Retaliation feels powerful. Explanation feels safe. Even silence can become a weapon. But Stoicism offers a third way. Pause. To pause is to choose presence over impulse. To remind yourself, I am not ruled by this emotion. You can feel deeply and still act wisely. Marcus Aurelius wrote, If someone does wrong, that's their burden. My focus is what I do with it. This isn't indifference, it's clarity. The strength to define yourself, not by what happened, but by what you do next. So next time the sting comes, a look, a word, a letdown, breathe. Notice your breath, your chest, your shoulders. Ask yourself, is this about them? Or is this awakening something unhealed in me? That pause becomes a refuge, a space where you respond, not react, where you lead, not follow. Habit 4. Practice voluntary discomfort. Build inner armor before life tests you. Seneca slept on the floor, ate plain food, not out of need, but preparation. He knew. Facing small discomforts willingly makes us ready for the ones we can't control. Voluntary discomfort is not punishment, it's training. Because life will test you through heartbreak, rejection, uncertainty. The question is, will you flinch? Start simple. Wake earlier than you want. Say no to impulse. Sit in stillness. Delay gratification. Skip comfort to find capacity. Each moment teaches you, I can handle this. So when pain arrives uninvited, in silence, in loss, in disapproval, you meet it not with panic, but with quiet strength. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, imagining hardship, not to fear it, but to befriend it. Familiarity breeds steadiness. Habit 5. Redefine what rejection means. Rejection hurts because we let it define us, that we're not enough, not smart, not wanted. But the Stoics challenge this lens. Epictetus said, "It's not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them." What if rejection isn't judgment, but redirection? What if the no is guidance, not failure? We see rejection as a closed door, but maybe that door wasn't meant to open, or worse, it led to a room too small for who you're becoming. So don't chase every door. Ask instead, which door calls to the soul I'm shaping? You can't avoid rejection, but you can strip it of its power to diminish you. See rejection not as a verdict, but a mirror. Not as defeat, but design. These habits, the pause, the practice, the reframing, aren't dramatic. They're not loud. But with time, they forge a quieter kind of courage. Not the kind that shouts, but the kind that stays. The kind that doesn't retreat when life withdraws. The kind that remembers your worth was never on trial. It never needed to be proven. Moment 3. When you're anxious about the future. Anxiety doesn't grow in the now. It grows in the what ifs. What if I fail? What if I'm not enough? What if it all falls apart? The Stoics understood this. The future is a canvas of imagination, and when left unguarded, imagination paints fear. Habit 6. Practice negative visualization, not to suffer loss, but to awaken gratitude. To many, picturing loss sounds painful, but to the Stoics, it was a path to presence. Seneca reminded himself that all he had, wealth, health, status, even life, was borrowed, not promised. So try this. Picture waking tomorrow and something is gone. A job, a friend, your strength, not to spiral, but to cherish. Suddenly, this moment becomes sacred. A simple meal feels rich. A warm glance, unforgettable. Even silence, comforting. And slowly, you loosen your grip. You begin to say, even if this ends, I will remain. This isn't fear, it's freedom. The freedom to love what you have without clinging. The courage to release what you cannot hold forever. Habit 7. Take decisive action. Reclaim your agency, step by step. Anxiety freezes. It steals momentum. It whispers, nothing helps. Epictetus offers clarity. Some things are up to us, some are not. So ask, what's within your power today? Start small. Clean a corner. Answer the message. Step into fresh air. Move your body. Choose one thing and do it. Each small act is a statement. I am not stuck. I am still here. The Stoics didn't erase uncertainty. They acted inside it. Because courage isn't the absence of fear, it's movement through it. Even in a foggy future, your next step can be clear. When you live rooted in now, when your hands are busy with what you can do, anxiety begins to fade. Because fear cannot breathe where action lives. These two habits, visualizing loss for gratitude and acting for agency, aren't magic. They're companions. They walk with you through the fog. They remind you, you may not know what's ahead, but you are not powerless. And that's enough to face tomorrow, not with panic, but with calm and quiet courage. Moment 4. When you feel lonely or abandoned. Loneliness doesn't always mean being alone. Sometimes it's being surrounded, yet feeling invisible. It's scrolling endlessly, hoping someone reaches first. It's holding your breath, waiting for a reply that never comes. The Stoics knew solitude, but they never mistook it for emptiness. True strength is forged when you can stand alone and still remain whole. Habit 8. Build a relationship with your inner self. Become your own closest companion. Epictetus said, if someone took your body and gave it away, you'd be outraged. Yet you hand over your mind to strangers without thought. The real danger isn't being left by others. It's leaving yourself. We numb, scroll, distract, anything to avoid our own voice. But that voice holds your resilience. Sit with it. Listen. Journal. Walk. Not to flee your mind, but to come home to it. Speak gently to yourself, as you would to someone you love. This isn't just self-care, it's self-respect, a quiet promise. Even if the world turns away, I will not. When you know yourself deeply, you're never truly alone. You carry companionship within. Habit 9. Turn solitude into self-mastery. Let loneliness become a forge, not a cage. Marcus Aurelius ruled Rome, yet still sat in silence with his thoughts. Not because he had to, but because clarity grows in quiet. Don't rush to fill the silence. Study it. What surfaces when the world dims? What truths? What longings? What healing still waits? Use this space not to escape, but to grow. Reflect in it. Create in it. Train your mind, your habits, your heart. That's where depth begins. Because if your peace depends on others, it isn't peace. It's dependence. Solitude is a mirror. And when you can face it without turning away, that's when strength has taken root. These habits, befriending yourself and mastering aloneness, aren't about isolation. They're about anchoring. So deeply that the waves can't carry you away. You may still feel loneliness, but it won't undo you. Because you found steadiness in the one soul who never leaves you, your own. Moment 5. When you feel burned out and numb, there's a kind of tired that rest can't touch. When you've stretched too far, given too much, carried too many weights for too long, and now there's just emptiness. Not pain, not rage, just a quiet ache of overextension. Burnout is not failure, it's feedback. And the Stoics taught, listen to your signals before they become screams. Habit 10. Restore through purpose. Reconnect with your why, not just your work. More tasks won't save you. More goals. More hustle. That's what led you here. So instead of pushing, pause. Remember, why did you begin this? What drew you to it? What meaning lives beneath the effort? Marcus Aurelius wrote, at dawn, when you struggle to rise, remind yourself. You rise to live as a human being, not as a machine, not as a metric, but as a soul contributing to something that matters. Strip back the noise. Let the pressure fall away. Find the spark again, not in doing more, but in doing what truly calls you. Maybe you don't need to quit. Maybe you need to return to what matters. Because burnout isn't always cured by stopping. Sometimes it's healed by remembering. And from that place, not of exhaustion, but quiet alignment, energy comes back. Not in a rush, but in a rhythm. Like breath returning after you've forgotten how to breathe. Let's end with this thought: the quiet strength that endures. If you've stayed with this journey, you've done something rare. You chose reflection over reaction, depth over distraction. In a world chasing performance, you chose presence. In a culture addicted to shortcuts, you paused to explore what truly lasts. These 10 habits aren't magic. They won't erase pain. They won't straighten the road ahead. But they offer something deeper: anchorage. When the waves rise, as they always do, you now have something solid to return to. When doubt whispers, you'll remember the power of pause. When rejection stings, you'll know your worth was never conditional. When anxiety swirls, you'll return to your actions. When loneliness lingers, you'll find presence in your own company. When burnout dulls you, you'll remember your why. These aren't ideas, they're practices, and practices build strength. Every moment you meet discomfort with awareness, you train your mind. Every time you resist the urge to flee and choose to feel, you deepen your roots. This is the Stoic way, not to erase emotion, but to respond wisely. Not to detach from life, but to meet it fully on your terms. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good person should be. Be one. That's your call. Not to speak strength, but to embody it. Not to chase perfection, but to live with presence. Not to harden, but to soften with clarity." Take these habits as seeds, plant them daily. Water them with patience. Let them grow quietly. Let them bloom when storms come. And one day, quietly, steadily, you'll realize, amidst chaos, you are calm. In hardship, you are grounded. Not because life got easier, but because you grew stronger. That is your strength. Forged not in ease, but in choosing, again and again, to show up with heart. Stay steady. You are more resilient than you know. And now, you have the tools to prove it. If this helped you, consider subscribing and following for more.